back to Flurry Sports. I did a mock draft earlier today that I will be posting soon. Trevor's about to get kicked off the call, but we are going to do a live mock draft here. We're just going to use the Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator. They have a new multiplayer tool, so I can only assume this will break, but maybe it won't. Who knows? But we each got a team. We're going to cruise through these. Let's see here. We'll give everyone 90 seconds per pick. I assume we won't need all of that, but we'll talk through it the best we can. And then, once we move on to the next pick, you got to move on. You know what I mean? And then once we get the final draft order, the final mock draft, at that point, we can go back and make any final points if we want to. No trades tonight. We got plenty of time to do that. Otherwise, go to flurrysports.org. My mock draft is there. We also got a bunch of draft profiles out. We'll have a profile out on every player that we draft here tonight. And we have a bunch of other draft analysis up there too as well. So definitely go over there and check that out. Also, if you're on YouTube, in the description, we got our new fantasy football channel there linked. Definitely go there and subscribe. During NFL season and right after the draft, we will have a bunch of fantasy football content over there. All fantasy football videos will be over there this year. So please go and do that. Anything else before we get going? Is everyone ready? Everyone prepared?
I see a black screen. I don't see you guys right now.
Okay. I feel
Great
like
start.
I feel like you're on your own with that. Does everyone else see everybody?
I can pivot.
Do you see,
I can hear you.
Draft?
No. Let me leave and come back real quick.
What do you?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Tata. Any point.
All right. Well, Zach, it's you and then me, so we can start the draft. If there's not a timer, that is.
Also, I guess I assume he's on the draft on his phone, so it doesn't really matter if he sees us or not. I'm not going to be looking at you guys, but we'll give him a couple seconds here. Here's Luke. Yes?
Yeah.
Luke,
all right.
you hear us? You see us?
Yep. I'm good.
Okay. Let's go again. 90 seconds per pick. Give as much of a take as you can if you got one. Otherwise, here we go. So obviously, what's going on? Waiting. Does everyone have to click go, I think? Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Waiting.
Where's the go?
I hit ready. It's ready. You got to hit ready.
Oh, fuck.
Okay. Well, Luke tries to find that. I will say we know Fernando Mendoza is going to be picked first overall. I truly believe in my heart that is a massive mistake for the Raiders and their organization. I think he's a good quarterback, but having Kirk Cousins on your team with a team-friendly multi-year deal, he's basically protected to be on their team multiple years if they choose to do so. I don't know how you don't trade back, get a bunch of draft picks, draft a bunch of offensive linemen in a very offensive-friendly draft, and then get draft picks next year, and then just get your quarterback next year. I don't understand why you wouldn't do that. But alas, they're going to draft Fernando Mendoza like I'm about to do now, and then they're just going to sit him behind Kirk Cousins for half the year, let Kirk Cousins get the absolute shit kicked out of him behind a terrible offensive line, and then Mendoza's going to come in, and by golly, he'll get to throw to Deontay Thornton and people like that, which does not matter. So we'll see if they ruin another quarterback. That'll be fun to see.
All right, the Jets need pretty much everything. And while it would be a Jets move for them to take Jeremiah Love here, I really do think they're taking one of the linebackers from Ohio State. I think they're going to take Reese. I like Reese better than Styles. I have some questions personally about Styles' motor and giving up on plays. And just everything that I've heard out of the Jets, it seems like Arvell Reese is their guy. The Jets could pull a curveball, but that just seems like the most likely to me.
Trevor, I agree with you. I think this is kind of an interesting pick for Arizona. I think they can go two ways here. Well, Arizona, I kind of feel like they need something on defense outside of Budda Baker, right? Something that they can build a defense around. So it feels like a pass rusher is in the cards here. But a really easy pick for Mike LaFleur would be a tackle, right? Nobody's going to bat an eye at that. It's a safe pick. It's whatever. But I'm always in favor of getting an edge rusher. So I'm going to take who I think is the next best edge rusher on the board, Mr. Bailey.
All right, that brings the Titans up at number 4. Titans have needs along the offensive line and defensive line, but I don't know that it would be in the case of a tackle. So they could look edge here at number 4. This almost feels like a spot to me where they might be benefited from looking to acquire more picks later in the round. I don't know if any of you guys would agree with that, but for the sake of argument here, I will go with, I guess we'll go Sonny Styles because linebacker is also a need on that defense that needs to can probably hold down the fort again for another year as the offense tries to develop around Cam Ward.
So I've seen a lot of people, if they don't project Love to the Titans, they're projecting him to the Giants. That makes absolutely no sense in my mind whatsoever. So I'm not going to fall into that trap. Instead, I'm going to go with the person I projected in my mock draft and in the video I recorded that will be up soon. I think Caleb Downs could play a Kyle Hamilton-like role on a John Harbaugh defense. And it's not even a lazy take, I don't think. And I know Luke really likes Caleb Downs. I think Downs, as long as he's healthy, he might be the best player in this draft anyway. So, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense for the Giants to go after him.
Yeah, it certainly helps cheer up some of that bad cornerback or defensive back play that they've had the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
With the Browns, this is a board that, I mean, I think it would be in their best interest to trade down. I don't think they will. They don't need running back, obviously. They don't really need edge, cornerback. I can see them going Carnell Tate. They do seem like a team that would do that. But for me, I think the best pick for them is to help their offensive line because they need to keep their quarterbacks upright. So, Moagai, is that how you pronounce it? I'm probably just butchered it.
I think it's Maui Goa, but I mispronounced that.
Maui Goa. He's the best tackle in this draft. He's the best pick for them. Or Carnell Tate, who I have a feeling will go pretty soon here.
If I'm watching them staring on the board and I see Jeremiah Love there, it's no doubt I'm taking him. They need playmakers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like that pick. For the Saints at 8, I think they would be looking at the edge positions based on what transpired with their roster turnover and free agency and also just the overall age of their roster. But really the glaring need to me for them on offense is at wide receiver. Outside of Chris Olave, there is nothing that's certain. I think Devon Vele played well, especially down the stretch last year once Shaheed left for Seattle in that trade. But it would be wide receiver 1 for the Saints at this pick for me. So Carnell Tate.
Yeah, you don't trade away Rashid Shaheed and make no other moves without a plan.
Ohio
so that makes
State
sense.
Receiving core.
I know.
Probably a good college to target for that.
Yeah.
Supposedly. The Chiefs also made some trades this offseason. They lost both of their top cornerbacks. Everyone's projecting the Chiefs to go after a wide receiver, and I ask why. So I'm going to go with them selecting the best cornerback in the draft since every sign points to them doing exactly that.
That's picked to get them back to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah. This is a tough one for me. Hendrickson is gone from the Bengals, right?
Yes.
Am I remembering that incorrectly?
He's a free agent, but he's not on the team right now.
Free agent. What better thing for the Bengals to say as a cost-cutting team than, hey, Hendrickson is gone, but we got his replacement, and he's cheaper, Reuben Bain Jr. I don't know if this is the pick for them overall, but if Bain falls to 10 and he's there, I think the Bengals would be kind of stupid to not take him unless they're going to sign Hendrickson, which I don't think they're going to do. So,
yeah, I don't know here with Miami. They have a lot of needs, right? It feels like everyone's latching on to wide receiver, right? With Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle gone. And I would argue that those defensive backs were not great last year. So I am going to take Jermod McCoy because Miami doesn't need to win right now, right? They don't need receivers. They can punt till next year when there's a fuckload of receivers coming into this draft, in the next year's draft.
Fair.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think McCoy was the direction I was leaning based on best available for the Cowboys here at 12. Um, the defensive front is obviously a concern for Dallas. Um, I guess Rashawn Gary helps. I don't know. You guys might have something different to say about that.
False.
We do have something different to say about that.
Whatever Jerry Jones thinks. The run defense needs to improve. Obviously, that has us going a little bit further down the board in terms of prospects. Oh gosh. I suppose we could discuss tackles is probably the best available, although that's not really what they're going for here. Would Jerry Jones pull the trigger on another receiver here? Wouldn't put it past him. I'm gonna go with Mesidor, who I think his age is his biggest concern among pundits in this draft, but he's a stud.
Mhm.
Watch him play.
The Rams seem like a team that are going to be very, very willing to trade out of this pick, just given their history and just given where they are in the draft. But if they get this board, it'd be surprising, I think, if they traded down. Spencer Fano, in terms of pure tackles, is the best pure tackle in this draft. He's an absolute monster. From a run-first Utah offense, but he can do anything. His mirror and agility and everything he's outstanding. He's a very, very good player. And he's going to be a starter in the NFL for 10, 15 years. So Rams get a need at a perfect time.
Boom.
This is this is an interesting spot because Zach, I mean, you know more than me. Would the Ravens have any look at Freeling to play guard or center, or is he just a pure tackle?
He would be a tackle.
He's a mammoth.
Okay. I think there's an outside chance. I might fuck this mock draft up for everybody. I think there's an outside chance the Ravens go all in and they say, we have Lamar, we have players, but we need more firepower. And I think there's a chance they go wide receiver. And I think there's a chance they go Lemon here.
Absolutely.
I think this could be one of those kind of, okay, they're going for it moments, even though I think you could definitely make a case for some other players on the board.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you, Trevor.
Mhm.
And I'm going to do the exact same thing with Tampa Bay here and get a piece at a tight end that they needed for a very long time. And then take one of the better tight ends, in my mind, prospects in a while. Can block and
So-
catch.
It's the Jets again because they have a second pick here. I don't really know what the Jets are going to do, and I feel like we say that every year because the Jets are the Jets. I don't like this board, but I think they also go wide receiver because I don't think they have enough offensive weapons outside of Wilson. So I think
You
they
have the
look
Jets?
maybe Jordan Tyson here. Yeah. So I
Zach has the
they have
Jets.
2 picks.
Oh.
No. Yeah, it says me because they were number 2.
You have
and
team
then they also
control
picked
throughout
16.
the draft. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Zach, you're
I'm
the
going to take
Vikings.
Jordan Tyson.
That makes sense as far as the Jets are concerned to me. For the Lions,
Don't let me down with this pick. There's one pick.
Let
Don't
him down.
Don't,
Off-
please
Ty
don't.
Simpson.
offensive line is the biggest need.
Say it.
Tackle is obviously a spot, but I'm not going to let Zach down because I sense what he's trying to do here. And he's saying that there's a better offensive lineman than the top tackle on the board, and that's the best need. And I have read a little bit about Monroe Freeling, and I know that he
Oh,
has some
please don't do
concerns.
that. Draft the
So,
best offensive lineman in this draft to put next to Penei Sewell, please.
don't know how to say his name.
Vega Ioane.
I believe it's pronounced Monroe. No.
If he This is my favorite offensive lineman in the draft. If he gets to play next to Penei Sewell, I'm going to be so happy. That would be incredible. Okay, Vikings. Harrison Smith, unfortunately, finally retired, and that I assume is why Chris Collinsworth is getting out of the Pro Football Focus game.
Yep.
Now they need a new safety. So Dylan, again, probably butchering it. Tiananmen, though. I think it would be very shocking if they just don't replace him right away.
I know a couple Vikings fans, and that's who they want.
Makes sense. He's good.
I got to be honest, I have no clue where Carolina goes here. Zach, you know better than me. Is their offensive line looking good?
They're fine, but they can use a tackle for sure.
Because that was my conventional wisdom. The Panthers seem like a team that have slowly started to understand you don't need to force a good team on the field. You can just take what's given to you, take the best player available. So I'm going to say Morgan Freeling.
Oh, you motherfucker.
So
I
that
fall
brings
in
me
love.
up
I
with
fall in
the
love with
Cowboys
tackles all the
here.
time in drafts, and Monroe Freeling is my mammoth. He's my the Mekhi Becton of this draft for me.
Yeah, you like the mammoths that like just don't move.
Yeah.
So that brings me up with the Cowboys again. We already took an edge. I have seen in mocks at other sites, they have Dallas using both of their first round picks on the defensive front or edges. I guess maybe Jerry would do that. That seems a little weird to me, though. So we're going to go to the next level of the defense and draft CJ Allen, who I really like. I think he is a steady prospect, might not have the ceiling of some other guys in terms of pure talent, but as far as getting a leader in on that defense, that seems like something Dallas could really use.
Someone took Jordan Tyson.
Jets.
Is it? Oh yeah.
At 16.
Whatever.
Yep, that was me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. You guys have any strong thoughts about Omar Cooper? Like it feels
I
like
think
Pittsburgh
he's-
needs a weapon.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a average all around receiver, I would say.
Yeah. I like Denzel Boston. Okay, I'm going Omar Cooper. I mean, receivers
Damn
in
it.
Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure PFF doesn't list it?
Hey, you want to trade? I'll take Jordan Tyson. You can have Omar Cooper.
In what world is receiver not a need? Like, how wouldn't they list that? That makes no sense.
For Pittsburgh?
Yeah, like how
Yeah,
is
right.
receiver like what? Quarterback is there. Running back is there. Well, what are they doing?
I'm up again here with the Chargers. Crap. So team needs, you see them there, wide receiver, offensive guard, defensive line. Safety is one that is listed. I would count wide receiver in there too. The Chargers have a lot of guys at that position, but I don't know how many of them are actually long-term panouts. A lot of youth there, so they might look in that direction. I would say probably in the later rounds. I like. I'm gonna give a little love to small school here, small school guy, and go with Emmanuel McNeil Warren out of Toledo at safety.
The Eagles, I think I can say with about 100% certainty, will not pick at this pick. Like
Right.
they are going to trade up. They have to. They always do. So I'm saying it now. They're my pick to draft Kenyon Sadiq. Like it just feels like that's the one where it's like, how did we let them get this guy? I feel like that's what they're going to do. But if they do get this board, if they're sitting right here, I would guess the Eagles try to get a tackle for the future. Lane Johnson's not long for this world at this point.
Well,
And what?
I mean, he's not going to die in 3 years. I guess anyone could die in 3 years. So
He's all about ball. And
Yeah.
if he isn't on the field, who knows where he is. In my mock draft on Flurry, I have them going Caleb Lomu, who I like. But I'm second guessing that right now because if they can get someone who's a project who I think has the most potential, I think that's Caden Proctor. So I think he gets groomed to be the next Lane Johnson, essentially, which is scary and it's unfortunate, but it would be a perfect pick for them.
Be careful with the word groomed in the year of 2026. But I agree with you.
I meant it.
The Browns.
Damn right.
The Browns at this pick, like the Browns already took tackle. So again, stop me if I'm screwing it up too much. Like there's no shot the Browns are going to pick tackle and then pick another offensive lineman or a position in need. They're absolutely going to go for fireworks, right?
Yeah, they actually did a decent job patching together an offensive line in free agency minus a tackle. So they spent a lot of money. They're not going to draft two.
So that's why I think they're not going to go. They're going to go for a firecracker of a wide receiver. They're going to go for something to make their fans excited. And I think they reach for Conception, if that's how you pronounce his name.
Good player.
I don't think the Browns are the team to take a guy from Washington named Denzel Boston. No, they're going for the flashy guy. So I'm going to go KC.
Washington hate.
You guys
Shit,
consider
it's
Washington
my
a Big
pick
Ten
again.
team?
No,
No,
they're not.
No, okay.
they're more of a Big
So-
Ten team than Rutgers, though.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So the Bears are next. The Bears have a lot of problems, honestly, but their defensive line is so shit. So I think they're pretty good for where they are. I think they need either Falk at the edge or defensive interior, Caden McDonald. It's just whatever they want more. I think personally, Ben Johnson is a guy who loves running the ball, so he's going to want to stop the run up the middle. So I think he's more likely to go to McDonald, who just absolutely plugs gaps. He has some issues, but then Keldrick,
go,
Falk,
brother.
and Edge, who sometimes has problems with runs. So I'm going to go McDonald.
I like it. Yeah, I think that's a good pick. Buffalo's in a weird spot here. I think fuck the offensive line right now. I think Josh Allen's good enough where he can win games on his own, right? Throwing defenders off him. You're coming. I mean, what do the Buffalo always do? They choke in the playoffs against better offenses, right? So this feels like a defensive pick. Whether you go pass rush or corner, it's up to you. I'm going to go corner, just given because I think there's some really good receivers in the AFC that are probably going to try to challenge him. So I'll take best corner available here. Buffalo's got to figure out how to stop opposing offenses and stop getting in shootouts in the playoffs.
We'll see.
49ers. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I got nothing.
You good? Okay. 49ers at 27. Based on the board we have here, there's a few different directions they could go based on needs. I'm going to be looking edge here, though, based on we got really kind of our pick of the litter at this point in the draft. Falk, you can argue, is falling to us in this spot. Cash House, some people like going in the first round. TJ Parker, if you wanted. And then further down the board, guy I really like is Zion Young out of Missouri. But in the sake of best available, I'm going to go with the consensus opinion, possibly over my own. I go back and forth, and I'm going to draft Falk for San Fran.
He's a big dude. I like him. Texans. I want to make note before I make my pick that Pro Football Focus says their top need is running back after they
Yeah.
traded for David Montgomery and have Woody
Silly.
Marks. And
Yeah.
the ghost of Joe Mixon still roams the halls there. And then
And Dare.
the ghost of Nick Chubb, I think, is on the team. So it's embarrassing. They're gonna go with a defensive lineman, I think. Like they could go interior offensive line, but Caleb Banks he's a fucking load. He's a big
He's a
dude.
load.
It's 6'6", 330. Like
Love it.
he's going to eat up space in the middle. He's going to be solid for everybody else in that defense to fly around. Arguably the best defense in the NFL just gets much better, and especially at stopping the run in that division is going to be important.
That defense is
Oh, shit, excuse me.
nasty. They're so fun to watch.
It is. So again, everyone's projecting the Chiefs to go wide receiver early. Not doing that. I took cornerback earlier. I took Delaney. Everyone's still ignoring the fact that the Chiefs continue to lose every single year because they don't have a good offensive line. So
Right.
they're not going to have this pick and go wide receiver, I don't think. I understand Denzel Boston's there, but guess what? Tyreek Hill's going to Kansas City. Like that's a very open secret, right? So I'm gonna go with Blake Miller. He's pretty pro ready. He's not great. He gets thrown around pretty easily. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, but I saw Mike Vrabel throw him around in Pro Day. So the fact that Vrabel could throw him around, like his name is Diane Rossini. How about that? Timely. I'm going to go with Blake Miller, though. Like, he's going to be an easy slot in at tackle.
You did not.
It's probably crazy for Miami to go 2 corners in the first round, right?
Not with the way
they got
play.
too many other holes.
Right. I'm taking Caleb Lomu. Let's get Malik.
God, fuck you. That seems to be like such a Patriots pick. That's why I say it. And I think the Patriots, like, their fan base might crucify them if they don't go offensive line here, because of how they looked in the Super Bowl. Fuck. I was gonna take Lomu because I figured somebody else would take Iheanacho or whatever, but I didn't know that Vrabel was throwing him around. I don't think he'd be able to respect him after that. So I think they got to go next best player, Cassius Howell.
Do you think Vrabel will draft him just to be like, hey, just show everyone what they need to do, and he's just a dummy?
Maybe. That's possible.
Seattle. Running back, no. Edge is probably the pick here. Right. What do you do with the good defensive line? You just keep adding to it. The Giants ripped off 2 Super Bowls doing that. So I guess best edge available. It's not a crazy pick or anything, but TJ Parker is a fine pick for me. Oh, sorry. Clicked on his name but didn't draft him.
Okay.
Oh no.
Anytime.
He lost connection, didn't he?
Does say that. I can't override it. That's crazy.
I got it.
Damn, clever stallion 64.
Okay.
We're always up to something else, Stallions.
Look at all these. How are they giving letter grades? It makes no sense. Anything. Why? Wait, we can't even. Okay, there we go. Any of the picks you want to specifically talk about?
I love Peter Woods from Clemson. I think he's probably a little bit of a work before he really becomes a stud. I would have loved to take him at 30 for Miami, but to be fair, like I was looking at Miami's team, that's probably the strength of their team is the defensive front. So
yeah, that and linebacker. They definitely need like offensive line and wide receiver and corner.
For me, I look at Mansour Delane and Caleb Downs. I'm not saying they're going to fall, right? Like, I'm not saying either of them are going to hit like 19 or 18 or 17 like Kyle Hamilton did years ago. But to me, they kind of feel like the same thing as Kyle Hamilton, where they are so damn good and arguably the best player in the draft. But because they're not at a position of super big need for the top teams, they fall a little bit. And it just seems like if Delane goes to Kansas City, everybody's going to be kind of like the Eagles are always going, like, how the fuck did we let him go there? And if Downs goes to the Giants, like, how do we let that defense get better? So those two guys kind of look like Kyle Hamilton for me, where they could go further down draft board just because, the top few teams maybe don't need them as they would in years past.
I can see Delane sliding, even though like Downs may not be necessarily a need for some of those top teams. He's a guy someone's going to trade up for, I think.
If you need a corner, obviously, but
Downs, I mean, he can
I'm
play.
sorry. I thought you were talking about Delane. I'm sorry.
Oh no, Delane can fall. He's kind of like, he's super athletic. He's a good man coverage corner, but he's still a little bit raw. Downs is like, people are going to seek him out, I think.
Can I pose a question to you guys? As you guys are a little bit more tuned in with college football than I am. What's the story of this draft? Is it just where Jeremiah Love ends up? It doesn't feel like there's many, that the average person is sitting there like, Mel Kiper's bitching about Shedeur Sanders not getting drafted. Like, other than Jeremiah Love, what's the intrigue? What am I getting out of bed for in this first round?
What's the narrative, or what's the true story of this draft?
I guess any way you want to take this question.
I'd say
Um,
the true story is the strength of the trenches, wouldn't you guys?
yeah, like everyone's saying this is
For
a bad
sure.
draft class. It's just because the skill positions aren't as good. Like teams are going to get so much better in this draft. The
Mhm.
offensive linemen are very good. There's good defensive linemen. There's massive fucking mammoths at edge rusher. But like offensive coordinators have been fucking praying for an offensive tackle to come out of college, and there's like 5 of them, like in the first round here, like real tackles. It's not like Maui Goa. I think is really good. I think he's probably the best tackle in this draft or best offensive lineman, but he could slide over and play guard. He's a little stubby, but after him, it's like Fano or Fano, fucking Miller, Lomu. There's some legit long athletic tackles in this draft, and there's more in the second round too. And there's good interior linemen in the second round. So teams are going to get a lot better. Running games are going to get a lot better. Quarterbacks suddenly will start to develop a lot more. It's going to be a very interesting to draft to see what happens. And we could see, you see 29 and 30. There's 2 tackles there. We could see a nice run at tackles at the very end with teams trading up in and trying to get that 5th-year option on a tackle, because the tackle salaries are about to blast off too, just because there's so few of them.
I think this story, obviously on top of that, like I kind of look at this draft and it kind of reminds me of an I don't remember what year it was, but Luke, you definitely know the year when Zion and John Morant came out, and everybody said
2019.
it's these guys and everybody else, and everybody said these guys are going to be incredible. The rest of the draft, nobody gives a shit about. I think this is going to be one of the drafts where, like, after the first round, like you said, Zach, there aren't really skill players, so people aren't gonna like they'll pay attention, right? But they won't get as excited as usual, and then suddenly 5 years down the road, we're looking at this draft class, we're going, holy shit! I mean, that was just an absolutely loaded first round.
But yeah, what's the story? I think people are going to be very bored with this draft. Like
Right.
I don't think there really is like an electric story other than, you're right, Jeremiah Love. People are going to be like, where's he going to go? I think people will end up latching on to Kenyon Sadiq because he is kind of a freak. Even Eli Stowers, maybe a little bit. He's a very good player, but he's not exciting. I mean, who gets excited about anything Vanderbilt related? I guess maybe people will start talking about, like, will someone trade into the first round for a second quarterback, or when's the second quarterback going to go? I guess that's the story. But even with that, who's excited about any other quarterback in this draft other than Fernando Mendoza? Like, there's no way you draft another quarterback with the intention of them starting.
Here's my question to you. Can you think of a more fun story than if the Cleveland Browns draft Diego Pavia in like the 5th round?
That
They
feels
would never
like
do it,
right?
But that is a very Browns move, and that would be the story so damn quick.
Honestly, probably. Like, I think
this goes back to our conversation we had. I don't know if that gives me you or whoever was on stream, but a couple weeks ago, I asked, like, for the average, passerby of college football, where you turn on Saturday, you don't really care about it. There's not that, right? There's no Joe Burrow. There's no Johnny Manziel. There's no player who transcends this sport, right? And I think that's probably where a little bit of this is not a very interesting draft on paper comes from.
Well, it's such a conflict of thought, because one, it's not an exciting draft. People are saying it's not a talented draft because people are either fantasy football minded or they just have no idea what they're looking at in terms of offensive line and defensive line play, which is fine. But it's such a good draft to get better as a team. So honestly, what the story could end up being, we may see more draft day trades than we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like there's a chance, and especially with some of the players available, like, is Brandon Ayuk going to get traded on draft day? I'm almost positive AJ Brown isn't, but that's going to be talked about the entire time. Does he get traded on draft day again? You know what I mean? And there's probably going to be other players that I'm not thinking about right now. But we could see players, like legit players, get traded away, just so teams can move into the first, second, third rounds and draft a legitimate contributor to their team. Like, do the Packers trade away one of their expiring contract receivers in Reed or Wicks, right? Like, in my mind, it'd be foolish not to. I don't know if they will. But there's a lot of players like that where there could be a lot of moving and shaking in this draft, which would be fun, I think. But then they're going to instantly get criticized, right? Like in the same way that the Lions got demolished for drafting Jahmyr Gibbs and then Jack Campbell and stuff. Like people are going to be like, you traded away X player who's a big name for fucking Blake Miller. Like people are going to be, they're going to criticize, they're going to demolish these people.
To add to that too, does this feel like a draft where, like you said, Philadelphia trades up, or Denver, like these contenders can trade into a pick and give up next year's pick, and these loser teams are like, yeah, the pretty good players in college coming next year. Why don't we load up for next year?
It's going to be interesting to see which teams do decide to sell for next year, because there's no doubt that next year's draft's good. Yeah. Like we don't even need to pretend that it's not. And it's better than this one. It's just not better than this one at offensive line or potentially edge rusher. That's why it's like, I feel like teams are going to do their best not to give up next year's picks. So what else is there to trade? They're going to start trading players, which makes it for a very exciting time. I don't know who all is available other than some of the obvious receivers. Brian Thomas Jr., I guess, would be another one.
The only other question that I had for you guys to connect us to fantasy football here, for just talking some dynasty. So assuming Jeremiah Love goes in first 10 picks. Mm-hmm. What's the best landing spot for him for fantasy, and what's the worst landing spot for him for fantasy? I guess we could probably think of this as for dynasty, but if we want to do redraft, that's fine.
Worst landing spot. I firmly believe he's a Tennessee Titan. I think they're chasing the Derrick Henry dragon and just trying to make up for. Worst spot would probably be the Jets or the Browns, right?
Yeah.
If the Raiders get shit figured out, they could just be pumping them up with targets from the get-go. That's a big if, but I like if they draft Mendoza, they're not going to get that much better where they're going to be out of the the running to get him for sure. They're going to be a top 10 pick next year, no matter what next year as well.
The Raiders getting Love?
You guys are talking about two different people.
Oh. Yeah, I'm talking about Jeremiah Love. Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I'm getting the Jeremiahs mixed up. My bad, Luke.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say.
I was just confused. You were talking about that. I'm like, I thought they drafted Ashton Jeanty last year. But the interesting one, right, it kind of feels like a wild card here is Arizona. Because, right, Arizona picks them. You're like, yeah, I understand why they pick them, but they're loaded at the running back position already.
Yeah, if they do that, I will lose my shit.
Right.
They have 18 running backs on their roster, I think.
And then the other interesting one is New Orleans, right? I feel New Orleans is very disrespected, right? And probably rightfully so. They're in cap hell. They can't do anything. They're still paying Derek Carr. But offensive line's not horrible. Quarterback play wasn't horrible last year.
No, but it would be – they just traded for Travis Etienne, too.
I forgot about that.
Or however he says his name's pronounced. I don't know. I disagree.
Even still.
He's gaslighting us. There's no shot that last name is pronounced A-Chain. And to wait 8 years.
Oh, yeah, A-Chain.
Fuck
you.
that guy.
Fuck
that guy. Don't try to pull
also,
on us.
Feels like a very they can't do it because they got Chase Brown, but feels like a very Bengals pick to just continue doing skill players.
I know. I said it in the video I recorded. People are rumoring Kenyon Sadiq there, and that does feel Cincinnati, right? It would be so stupid. A lot of people are projecting Jeremiah Love to the Giants, though, and that truly baffles me.
Hate it.
And I would hate that too. Yeah, I hate it. Like, what would we do?
The Bengals have something like $100 million invested into 3 players, a quarterback and 2 receivers this year, and then no one else is making more than like $15 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good way to run a franchise.
Yeah, do you think that's a good idea?
It's fun. I like the idea, but if I want to win a Super Bowl,
it's the most like
sells jerseys.
Gen Alpha or whatever way to run a team, yet they're the most old school ran team. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like how a Cincinnati Bengals, a team that wants to do things by the book, the right way, no personality, old school football. How do they not have a good offensive line?
Yeah.
It makes no sense,
especially in the AFC
whatsoever.
North.
And how do you do that after the Carson Palmer shit?
Yeah.
Like we've done this before. We've seen this story. At some point, fucking Joe Burrow is gonna beg to get traded to the Raiders. It's just gonna happen. Like he'll want to play for Tom Brady. He's out of there soon. But whatever.
Can't teach stupid.
No. Any other pick?
No, I'm just thinking about this for a dynasty standpoint. If you're sitting there with like the number one pick, I'm curious what people's thoughts are on if you need a quarterback, but Jeremiah Love's sitting there. How does that valuation change? Is there a certain thing that would say, yes, I'm taking if I'm a horrible team, not horrible, but if I'm a team that's not going to win a championship, I have pieces to fill in dynasty. Am I going for Fernando Mendoza? Right, he feels like the safe pick. He feels like he's going to be starting on your team for 15 years. Or am I going Jeremiah Love, who's probably going to score, be more effective for my team in the short run? But if Jeremiah Love goes to, like you said, the Cardinals, does that make me want to do Mendoza, or does he go to, I don't know, whatever, Tennessee, where he's going to be the featured guy? And does that make me do more than Mendoza? I don't know. I think it's an interesting thought.
I personally think Jeremiah Love is already the locked in first overall
No matter
pick.
what.
I think so. I'm not convinced Mendoza is going to be the obvious number 2.
Interesting.
Just because people want instant gratification, you're not going to get it with Mendoza.
Yeah.
And then it just depends on where, like if Cardinal Tate goes to Washington. So then we'll have all the hype of Jane Daniels fueling him. We'll get all the people who stumbled upon the amazing idea of, hey, he gets to be a wide receiver 2 and get wide receiver 2 coverage, as if that's the first time anyone's ever thought about that in Washington.
Yep.
You'll get that. People are already, I'm not sure how much like dynasty or like fantasy football stuff you've listened to. People are already back on the Chika Conco train because he's in Washington. Like if Carnell Tate goes there, I think he's going to get hype. And
people like Washington.
Deserved. They do. They love Washington. They love Jaden Daniels. They love the White House. They love everything about Washington right now. They do. They all want to play at Trump Field. That's what I heard. So never know.
I think the UFC there will be a spectacle this summer.
Just Rogan doesn't like it.
One other thing I wanted to mention about the mock we did was it just feels to me like some of the teams in the late teens have differing needs than best available players at that position. And then some of the teams in the late 20s, I could almost see maybe jumping up in there. So kind of to echo the point that has already been made, there are a lot of openings for trades. And this was also brought up too, but there are way too many mocks that I've seen the Steelers and the Jets for certain today trading back into the end of the first round to draft Ty Simpson. I don't know why you would do that because I think he's going to be available to you wherever you are in the second round, unless somebody gets grab happy. So I don't see that.
I mean, that's Packers trading for Jordan Love.
Yeah. Well, and then the player who didn't go on our draft that I think is a first round pick is Zion Young. So I just wanted to throw that in there too.
He's a pretty good player. You trade into the end of the first round, so you get the 5th-year option. It's the reason why the Ravens, got Lamar Jackson at 32 or 31 or whatever. So that's why, let me get to the right tab here. In this section of the draft, from 15 to 25, nobody wants to pick here. Nobody wants to be where they are. They want to trade. Yeah, it's every year. These teams want to move up here, and some will. The Eagles, for example, at 23, they will move somewhere between 13 and 16. I can almost guarantee it. But then from 28 down, these the players drafted here aren't any better than the next 10 players usually, right? This year, I could argue they might be, but regardless, you trade in here so you get the 5th-year team option. Now, is that less valuable now that fucking rookies decide, or rookie contract players just decide, hey, I'm just not going to show up, and they get the deal anyway? Yes, but Theoretically, teams want that option. So that's why they want to trade in there, because it is valuable. They're willing to pay the extra, $50,000 to them or whatever, just to have that option for the 5th year.
I think one of the more interesting teams in this draft is Baltimore picking at 14. It feels like this Baltimore team, it's a very mysterious team. Right there on paper, they still have one of the better rosters, but it feels like this is maybe teams aren't as scared of Baltimore as they have been the last couple of years. Trevor, you took Mekhi Lemon there. I agree with you. That's who I would have taken there. But if Minter is sitting there with a stud defensive player on the board, Zach, I think in your draft you had Falk going there. I had thought about CJ Allen going there to replace Roquan Smith. I think Baltimore can go a ton of different ways here. And I think, right, for at least the next 4 years of Lamar Jackson, who I love Lamar Jackson, but how much more time are we going to sit here and say Lamar Jackson's absolutely the guy? I think he's the guy, but injuries pile up and, old age and the game changes and everything. Feels like a really important pick for Baltimore is the point I'm trying to make.
They're also in desperate need of interior offensive line help. They don't have Linderbaum there anymore. Best center goes to Giants or Raiders. Raiders, right?
Biggest loss was Falalalale. Right, Zach?
Quite literally the biggest loss.
Yeah, I mean, he is a load. He is a big dude. But they need a guard. So if Ioane falls to them, they could take it, but I could see them trading back just to get a center or a guard later on too. But that's what everyone's projecting them. Some people are projecting wide receivers, everyone's projecting interior offensive line. Everyone fully took the thought of them needing an edge rusher fully out of their mind when they traded for Max Crosby. And then when they did the takesies backsies thing, no one was like, oh, they still need an edge rusher. They have no pass rush, guys. They're healthier, so it's a little bit better. But in this draft, they need an edge rusher, or you can just say they're not going to compete this year. Yeah. And it would be surprising if that's the case. So we'll see if they stay put. That's a very, like I said, it's a hot spot for the Eagles to trade up to and some of these other teams. Because I do think that's the realm of where Kenyon Sadiq's going to go. Teams are going to go for him. Luke, I think you took him. You like him. He's a great player. Someone's going to trade for that guy. It could be the fucking Chiefs. Legitimate. That could be the Travis Kelce replacement plan, which would stink.
Yep.
Not for me. I'm a Chiefs fan. That's my team this year. I've figured it out. Chiefs and wherever, maybe Lions. I don't know. I'm out on the Packers. I'm done.
Steelers.
Well, yeah. But as of now, I have to be clueless that Rodgers is going to play there,
Throw some love to McCarthy.
That's true. He was looking spiffy in that coach's photo.
He was. Like I said, it felt like we're back in coach's realm with McCarthy there.
It does. He had that top button tight. He's looking slim. My guy. I heard a rumor. He didn't even make eye contact with Deanna Rossini there. That's how locked in Big Mike is. She tried to talk to him. Said, "Hey, do you want to go to Cabo or whatever on fucking vacation?" Didn't even break stride. Mike is locked in.
Let me tell you, he wouldn't hold hands with her either, because those palms are sweaty as hell. Absolutely.
So
he does not walk those at all.
He's probably got he's got a faint scent of hot dog to him at all times.
He's got a back pocket full of venison sticks, 100%.
Do Diana Rossini, Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, the Scoops people, do they write stories?
Their names are attached to it,
but they don't write them.
Do you think they write them? I don't.
I don't. They're not sitting down at their computer, taking quotes and putting it into a 1,500 word article.
However, Schefter does email his articles to the people to get feedback before he writes that. Yeah, Mr. Editor or whatever. So he might write them. I don't know. I fully believe Ian Rappaport's the only good insider, so I'll say he writes. But do I believe it? No.
So my question is, if these people don't write stories, what's the point of their jobs?
To fucking go on vacation and blow people.
I guess
it's all about connections, dude. That's all it is. It's just talking.
But I don't know. I don't get why. I get maybe for views or whatever, but like if ESPN is hiring these people to be, you're the one who's going to break the trade. In the realm of the sports landscape as a whole, you don't need anyone to break the trade. The team is going to break the team will tell you what will happen.
But you need a representative for your network to be the first one to do it, to get the clicks, and you need to have the ties within the organization to have that scoop before anybody else. Me too. I've interviewed and for like certain team reporter-ish jobs at some places. And one of the things that they required, not just like would be nice to have, they required a long Rolodex of inside information of like people already in the building. Like that's one of the things that they require. That's all. And again, it was a reporter job. Who cares about writing? You know what I mean? Who cares about anything else? You just need to have an in. That's it. And that's why it's like, why wouldn't people like Diana Rossini, Aaron Andrews, and people like that just do whatever they can just to make connections?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
You know, fuck my husband. He's a what does he work at Whataburger?
Well, not literally, but
no, she would never. That is for somebody else. But yeah, like Schefter is the biggest schmoozer on the planet. So that's all it is. That's it.
All right.
Anything else?
Good show today, boys.
Good show. We'll be back soon. I might do some. Let us know in the comments which pick you fully disagreed about, because I'm sure there's something you're fuming at the mouth for. But let us know if you want to see team-specific mock drafts. We might do some of those. If you like that, let us know. Otherwise, head over to flurrysports.org and we got you covered already. Lots of shit over there. We'll be back soon.